The name of this project is FizzBuzz, and this is a common developer interview question. So this challenge is designed to weed out a lot of programming job candidates who cannot creatively use their coding knowledge to solve coding problems. Let's give it a shot, okay? So it says we have to write a FizzBuzz.java program that outputs numbers from 1 to 100, but with a catch. So for multiples of 3, we have to print the word fizz. For multiples of 5, we have to print the word buzz. And if the numbers which are multiples of both 3 and 5, we have to print on the screen FizzBuzz, okay? So multiples means a number that divides without any remainder to the given number. So say, for example, say for example 3 is gonna be fizz because 3 divides 3 without any remainder. Is the same for 6, okay? So 6 divides 3 without any remainder. Same for 9, so those are multiples of 3. Same with multiples of 5. So a multiple of 5 would be a number that once divided by 5 is gonna have 0 remainder, so it's gonna have no remainder, okay? And if that is the case, then we have to print the word buzz on the screen. And I can see here in the example, even though from just reading this it wasn't as clear, that if that number is neither a multiple of 3 or 5, or both of them multiple of 3 and 5, then you have to print the number itself, okay? So all the way to the bottom, either print the number if it's not a multiple of 3, of 5, or both a multiple of 3 and 5. Let's give it a go. Okay, so we have to call this a FizzBuzz. Okay, so we're gonna create a class. Okay. And we have to add the main method. So public static void main string args. And then inside here, we are gonna put our code, okay? So let's leave some comments here. So for example, if is multiple of 3, then we have to print fizz. And I'm gonna copy this. This is just so we remember what the exercise requires us to do. Otherwise buzz, and if it's a multiple of both 3 and 5, we have to print fizz buzz like this. Otherwise print the number, okay? So to begin with, to go from numbers 1 all the way to, what was it, from 1 to 100, okay, we need to use a for loop, okay? Let's add this as well. So numbers from 1 to 100. So to put on the screen the numbers from 1 to 100, we have to use a for loop. So we say for, and we say int I equals 0. So we want to start at 0, and we want to stop at 100, okay? But in this case, we want to include 100 as well, which means that as long as we want our for loop to run, as long as I is smaller than or equal to 100. Because why equal to? Well, because we want to include 100 as well. So when I is going to be 100, it's still going to run once, okay, to take in consideration 100 as well. And then the last one would be some sort of a change that we need to do to our counter here, which would be I++. So we want to increment I every time the loop runs, okay? Okay, next what we need to do is to check this value of I to see whether it's a multiple of 3, or if it's a multiple of 5, or if it's a multiple of 3 and 5 together, okay? And based on that, we need to either print FizzBuzz, or the number itself, okay? So we need we know that at one point we need to print something on the screen. So we have to include a system.out.println somewhere in this code, okay? So to make a check, we would use the if statement, which we've seen previously as a conditional, okay? So if I, and to check whether the remainder of a number divided by another number is 0, we have to use the modulo operator. If you remember, we covered this one some lectures previously. So if I modulo 3 equals 0, then do something. So if our number divided by 3 gives us a remainder of 0, which would make this I would be a multiple of 3, okay? So if this condition is true, then print on the screen fizz. We end it with a semicolon, and we put in the in double quotes, we put the name fizz, okay? Then we check if, let's check again. If our I is a multiple of 5, then we have to print buzz. And then if the last one if it's a multiple of 3 and 5, so if this is one condition, so 3, and so we have to check for 2 conditions. So if this condition is true and this condition is true as well, okay, so we've seen this one with the AND operator, with the truth table, okay, with the AND or with the OR, which was something like this, if you remember, yeah, the OR. So if that is the case, then we want to print on the screen FizzBuzz. Okay. However, this is all fine and good, so far so good. However, we know that we also need a condition, well, we need a result on the screen if this condition evaluates to false. Well, if each condition in our if blocks here evaluates to false, okay? So if we say if our number I is not a multiple of 5, so if it is a multiple of 5, print fizz, else, so if it's not, then print the number itself, so print I, like this. And we have to do the same thing here as well. So let me copy this. Now here on line 20, it looks and it checks for, is our number I, is it a multiple of 5? If it is, then print buzz. If it's not, then print the number itself. Then on line 26, it checks what is the what does this expression evaluate to? Is it true or false? So is this I a multiple of 3? And then is the same I a multiple of 5 as well? So say these both expressions will evaluate to true. So this one and this one. If they evaluate to true, because it's say it's going to be true and true. If both these conditions evaluate to true, then print FizzBuzz. Okay, I'm not sure at this point whether I need to also print out the number itself on the screen, because we're doing it already here. Okay, but I'm gonna try and run it as is, and then we will see if the code runs or if we have any issues. But this is the whole point, we're trying to learn together. Okay, so here from the command prompt, if we remember, we have to do java c fizz. So we have to compile the .java file, FizzBuzz.java. And now at this point we should be able to run java FizzBuzz. Okay, and it says could not find or load main class FizzBuzz. Well, of course we would get an error here because I haven't pressed save. Okay, so I'm gonna try and run it again. Okay, so let's see, what do we have at the moment? Okay, we have the FizzBuzz class now. So first we had to do java c space FizzBuzz.java to compile it, and then we would get the FizzBuzz class, of course, and only now we can try and run it. FizzBuzz. Okay. Okay, this is a rather long, which I believe is not quite correct, simply because it starts at 1, 1, 2, 2. So I think it's because I'm doing this here, it prints a few too many times the end result. We are getting fizz, we're getting buzz, we're getting FizzBuzz as well, but it's repeated a few times, which is not what I was after. Okay. Okay, as a possible solution, I'm gonna clear the screen here and we're gonna start again. Okay, so this was a good attempt, but obviously not good enough. What I'm gonna do, we're gonna try it step by step. System.out.println, and we have I here. So on the screen we should see numbers starting from, well, we should start at 1 really, because it did say 1 to 100. Okay, we say save. We're gonna do java c FizzBuzz.java, and now we should be able to run java FizzBuzz. So on the screen we get the numbers from 1 all the way to 100. Okay, so far so good. So clear. Okay, we've done this one. I'll put the counter I. Yes, it does print the 1 to 100. And then it says, now that we have all the numbers, let's solve the hard part. Before coding further, take out a piece of paper and brainstorm. How do we check whether or not a number is divisible by 3? What about for the other two conditions? Well, like I said, we should be using the modulo operator, which gives us the remainder of the division. Okay, so what I will do now, I will try and comment this code here. And it's still a fact that we need to use an if condition, okay? So if, and we're gonna use the same code like in my previous attempt. So we know we have to test for some conditions. We have to first test if it's a multiple of 3, if it's a multiple of 5, and then if it's a multiple of both of them. Okay. Now, what I'm planning on doing is to test if it's a multiple of 3 and 5, and then output this one, okay? So if I modulo 3 equals 0, okay, and I modulo 5 equals 0, so if this condition is true, so test for this condition. If this is true, then we want to print out on the screen FizzBuzz, okay? All right. Now we want to check what to do. We want to know what to do, or we want to tell the program what to do if this condition is not true. Check for something else. Else, if, let's test just for this, okay? So let's check if it's a multiple of 3. And if it's a multiple of 3, then print on the screen fizz. Okay. Then let's check again if it's a multiple of 5. So let's put in here this one to check if it's a multiple of 5. Then print on the screen buzz. Okay. And then if none of these cases are true, then print on the screen the number itself. So print I. Okay. I'm gonna press save. And let's go, before we run it, let's go through it again. So we want to go through numbers from 1 all the way to 100. We start at 1 and we say 1, as long as 1 is smaller than or greater to 100. This condition here means that the number itself is gonna include 100 as well, 100 as well. Okay. So each time this loop runs, increment I. So therefore it goes through all the numbers from 1 all the way to 100, including 100. And then what do we want to do? We want to check, is this number, whichever it is at, 1, 2, 3, whichever, is this a multiple of 3? Check if this is true or false. And then in the same line, check me also if it's a multiple of 5 as well. And then compare these two results. So whichever these might be, use the AND operator and evaluate this whole expression, okay? And give me a result. Whatever this, depending on whatever this result is, if it's true, run this because it means, so display this to me on the screen because it means that my number I is a multiple of both 3 and 5. But if this condition is false, then check me, maybe it's only a multiple of 3. If that's the case, print fizz on the screen. Okay. If this is not a multiple of 5, then go to the next else if and check me, maybe it's a multiple of 5. And if that's the case, then print buzz. And then if this is not the case either, then go to else and then just print me the number on the screen. Okay. So now that we've run through the logic of the code, let's do java c FizzBuzz.java, and this way we compile the FizzBuzz Java file, and then we say java FizzBuzz. I'm gonna press enter, and there you go. We have it all the way to, so from 1, it starts at 1 and it ends all the way to, so 98, 99, 100. This would be 100 here. Okay, so let's do a quick check. What do we have here? This would be, the last one would be 100, so we get buzz. Why do we get buzz? Because it's a multiple of 5. Okay, does 100 does 100 divided by 5 gives us a 0 remainder and no remainder? Yes, it does. Therefore, it gets buzz here. Let's think about 99. 99 gives us a fizz. Why should it give us a fizz? Well, because it should be a multiple of 3. Is 99 a multiple of 3? Well, it is, because if you divide 99 by 3, you won't get any remainder. Okay. 98 is none of them. Okay, so it's not a multiple of 3, not a multiple of 5 either. So therefore, we just print the number. 97, nothing. 96. 96 gives us a fizz because it's a multiple of 3. Okay, so 96 divided by 3 will give us a remainder of 0. Okay, so this is the code. I'm really glad that we managed to go through this and still not give up, still not go to look at any other solutions, because it's really important that we try enough ourselves, and only by trying and doing lots of exercises we're gonna actually learn how to do this. So I'm really happy with that. Okay, so we can go to the next one. The next project is gonna be the prime directive. Okay,